A lot of our students find that their self-esteem and confidence level goes beyond even what they could imagine. They actually come back transformed, which is one of the really cool things about what I do as I see somebody like now at this stage, and then through the application, and you go abroad in the fall, and you come back in a year, and it's amazing the difference that I can see. So it's very rewarding to me. But it takes you right out of your comfort zone. Getting along in other cultures is a huge part of being a global citizen. And the skills that you need to learn that are not necessarily, how can I say it? It's not like you need to say, okay, I need to get along in Japan. And the skills that that requires are valid only in Japan. The skills required to live and be successful in Japan transfer to any other country that you tend to go to. So once you've lived in one country, the survival skills and the ability to kind of roll with it transfers to no matter where you go. And so where you go really doesn't matter at the end. It's just the fact that you actually took that step and lived abroad. You will meet a network of international contacts with all the students and so forth that you meet from all over the world. Here, so many of our Canadian domestic students are not taking full advantage of the 1,200 international students. I know there's often a language barrier and a culture barrier, but this is something you should take advantage of even here at TRU. But once you go abroad, you become one of them. So you have to become networked and connected in a different way than you've ever done here. As well, we do a lot of work with you before you leave on personal safety, security, risk management, to make sure that you understand how best to stay safe and stay secure and not to do silly things that would put you at risk. So we do a lot of work in the risk management. This may be the first time that you would be in the minority. Perhaps the color of your skin will be different for the first time that you've experienced. If you're going somewhere where the color of your skin doesn't seem to matter, maybe the minute you open your mouth, your accent or dialect will indicate that you're in a minority. And for most of us, that's a huge lesson, especially in a country like Canada that embraces so many minorities. It's good to know what it feels like, because sometimes we forget. Every single student who's ever done this has told me it's life-altering. We've never had anyone say, that was the stupidest thing I ever did. I've never had a study abroad student regret it. They may have had a few bumps along the way and some challenges, but they would never take the experience back and say that was a waste of my time. It's never happened. As you go through the process, there's a fair bit of international bureaucracy. You're now moving to a country. So there's some extra paperwork in order to achieve that residency or student visa status, and some paperwork with the host university. So we need you to get your head wrapped around the fact that the bureaucracy is something that you're just going to adopt as part of what you have to do this, okay? In general, we're looking for a GPA of 2.5 because your host university, if you're not successful here, they would be even more nervous that going abroad would be too much of a challenge. In terms of the GPA, what happens is the TRU courses taken here do create your GPA. The ones that transfer credit from abroad just show as pass-fail and don't affect your GPA. And med schools and so forth understand that and get it and go, okay, well, you did a study abroad. However, if you did exceedingly well abroad, you also get an official transcript from them. And you could say, not only that, I did 98% on all of my classes abroad. So you can do that. In the Spanish, Japanese, and French-speaking worlds, in these places, classes are generally not offered in English. But let me qualify that. You may be taught in English, but what you were taught is how to speak their language, how to learn about their culture, their history, and so forth. In other words, you can't study mathematics in Japan in English. But you could study how to learn Japanese, about their history, about their culture, all of that, okay? So if you're wanting to take biology in France, probably not going to happen unless you are prepared to do it in French. Okay? However, that said, that leaves a whole lot of the rest of the world that does offer things in English. And as I've said and alluded to before, where you go really doesn't much matter. I've noticed that there's no better country. Like, I don't get a student coming that, oh, this was marginal and the next one and this is amazing. The whole experience is amazing, regardless of where you go. Your academic marks, the grades that you get from your classes abroad, transfer back to here as a pass-fail, not as a 97% or 62%. And the thinking behind that was very wise, I think. First of all, we were afraid that students with real high GPAs who were aspiring to like law school or medical school, graduate school, things like that, or were on scholarships, would run from study abroad and say, no, I won't risk my GPA getting a hit. And so by making it pass-fail, your GPA is calculated only on the courses you take here in Kamloops. You will get the credit, but it won't change your GPA. If you're going into something really competitive like these graduate schools, this is the kind of experience that sets you apart, right? They're all competitive. So if you are looking at graduate school or law school or medical school or something like that, adding a study abroad is a huge advantage in your application process for graduate school. And is there anybody who's an international student? Because we allow them to go abroad and take in another country if they're.